This tale kicks off with girls sitting in a classroom where the teacher angrily singles out a few students, lining them up. When the teacher questions one girl, her friend named Bobby helps her out. It doesn't take long for the girl to get caught cheating though. Then we see a nighttime frenzy with bikes, girls, and guys. This is Bobby's family and her sister. This is Hugo Oliveira, the town heartthrob known for his dashing looks and bold spirit. He's in a pull-up contest against other guys and Hugo's the only winner, impressing his buddies. Meanwhile, Bobby gets greeted by her friends and they start dancing and celebrating. Right after, he's invited to a supposed rich kid's party and they all decide to crash it. A guy at the party eyes Bobby, calling her beautiful. He used to date her and wants forgiveness, but she's not interested. The whole gang just barges into the party, stirring up trouble. Hugo spots Bobby and her ex, cracking a smile. One partygoer gets caught red-handed stealing from a purse by a girl, who weirdly doesn't mind him taking 50 euros but gets mad when he asks her on a date and storms off. Hugo approaches Bobby about the incident. Last time, he rudely insulted her, which made her uncomfortable. He admits he kept calling her that name, so she throws her drink in his face when her ex laughs. Hugo shoves the ex, breaking a table. He hoists Bobby onto his shoulders and heads outside, dumping her in the pool while his friends brawl at the party. The guy calls the cops, but not before Hugo quips they'll bathe together next time. Bobby can't leave since her dress is soaked and revealing. Later when leaving, the guy admits it was all a setup to spend time with her. Little did he know this trick would backfire as the whole gang returns to trash his car. He ends up hitting one of them, which Hugo witnesses. Hugo wastes no time pummeling him while Bobby calls for backup. An old man tries to intervene but gets shoved too as they all flee. With no choice left, Bobby grabs Hugo to stop him, letting the guy escape in his car, abandoning her. Hugo mocks her until she tries hitching a ride from a sketchy stranger. Seeing this, Hugo scares him off and finally gives her a lift himself. When Bobby gets home, her mom sees her and Hugo reveals what happened in the car as her sister identifies him as the local legend, hero. The next morning, Hugo wakes up and steals cash from his brother, who reminds him about a dinner with their dad before leaving. Bobby's friend Katina sees Hugo and his buddy, calling him out for taking her allowance money. She complains to Hugo about the theft, but he couldn't care less, figuring she's happy to grab lunch with the other guy instead of him as he hoped. She just brushes Hugo off in annoyance. Hugo later joins his dad for dinner, learning his brother is running late and mom's on a trip with a friend. He goes to his old room reminiscing. Hugo used to be a brilliant student until something changed him and he moved in with his brother. Bobby's upset Hugo ditched her for that rando last night, assuming he's poor and needed cash, and she's seeing him again. At home, her parents are angry because one guy got seriously hurt, so they're reporting who was with Bobby. She eventually reveals it was Hugo, leaving her sister thinking she's in big trouble. Bobby gets a call from Katina's mom about something and decides to go to a local race where she'll be. Hugo shows up and starts mocking her again. She tells him she blamed him to her parents for breaking that guy's nose at the party, though his friend worries he could go to jail over it. But Hugo's not concerned, figuring by court date she'll be so crazy about him she'll do anything to keep him out of trouble. Right after, there's an odd race where they have to carry their girls piggyback style while racing. Bobby hops on some rando's bike and off they go, until one girl gets injured amid the chaos. Cops arrive arresting everyone before they can flee, though one snaps a photo of Bobby hiding. Hugo eventually finds her, but not before giving her his jacket and watching her change clothes, then trying for a kiss, which she rejects by slapping him and reaffirming she'll still snitch on him in court. Hugo's brother sees their photo in the newspaper looking worried. The next day, Hugo sneaks into Bobby's room plastering a huge poster of them, so she wakes up reminded of him. She seems to be falling for him now and decides to reunite at another party. Bobby goes to the party and starts dancing when Hugo arrives, touching her hand. She gets home later to her mom catching her red-handed, a bit drunk, and slapping her before bed. Hugo calls asking to see her, suggesting they make plans for tomorrow, which she eagerly agrees to. The next day, Bobby waits outside school for Hugo to pick her up for a cruising date, watched by her teacher. While driving, Hugo sees a man with his mom and starts recalling memories of catching her cheating, beating the man brutally out of rage at her betrayal, marking the start of bad boy Hugo. Bobby comforts him as he reveals his dad and brother think mom's just on a trip with a friend. They share romantic moments before heading back to town, where she starts hanging with Hugo's biker gang more. Hugo's side chick shows up stirring drama with Bobby until a fight breaks out and Hugo pulls Bobby away, assuring her he'd never cheat. He takes her to get a tattoo, which she happily gets. Back home, Hugo finds Bobby's dad waiting to talk. He explains to Dad he's no threat and just hanging with Bobby. When his brother warns his actions could land him in jail, Hugo gets aggressive by accident. The teacher says Bobby signing the absent note herself could get her expelled. Her mom pays an $8,000 fine to prevent it, as Bobby tells Hugo, who sneaks into her room that night through the window. He takes her to an empty pool at night for fun. One day at Bobby's school, Hugo tells the teacher to back off her. Bobby asks her dad to let her go somewhere with Hugo, and he obliges after convincing her mom. They go to an idyllic remote house to enjoy quality time until morning. The next day, during their romantic time, Hugo's crew shows up to party, enraging Bobby, who kicks them all out, even Hugo briefly. To make it up to her, Hugo does something amazing by painting a huge "I love you" mural and learns to cook for her. He calls finding out her mom's ring went missing when his friends were over. Infuriated, he confronts his gang's leader until the girl returns the ring. Hugo brings it to a grateful Bobby, who tends to his injuries from the fight. It's court day and she's asked about that night she left with Hugo. Bobby lays into her mom, making her cry, as Hugo vows to change for her. Her mom decides to throw Bobby an 18th birthday bash. When gifting her teacher, Bobby sees Papita there and realizes Hugo previously abducted her, so she flees. Soon Bobby confronts Hugo at his place, berating and breaking up with him over the incident. It's her party, but Hugo's still lovelorn. His buddy enters a race, but Hugo's MIA until finally showing up, seemingly reformed. Bobby's stunned at his turnaround as they slowly kiss, just as Hugo's friend crashes and dies mid-race. Hugo breaks down sobbing over his pal's death. A heartbroken Bobby just wants out, leading to Hugo slapping her before she leaves. Hugo starts doing pull-ups, ruminating on everything. Meanwhile, Bobby spends more time with a neighbor, deleting Hugo's number as he wallows. One Christmas, Katina visits, giving Hugo a gift, a photo of him and his deceased friend, leaving him in tears. She suggests forgetting Bobby since she's moved on. Later, Hugo calls Bobby from a payphone, but her mom dodges him as they drive off, leaving him sobbing outside his apartment. In the end, Hugo tells his brother he's leaving town for work, unable to stay any longer. We realize things only happen once, no matter how hard you try, that same spark can never be recaptured. You'll never feel 3 meters above the sky again. Turn on alerts, like, and subscribe for more videos similar to this one. Thank you for watching.